And then we will have Chris Black from Waverley share with us some of his experience as an early adopter of the DealPoint platform. And we'll close out with our founder and CEO, Sandy Gilbert, who is going to give you a product demo of the solution itself. So, Michael, do you want to, you're on screen there, come front and center for us. We're really excited to, I guess now we're probably like 6 months into this partnership, hey? And, you know, for us, it was finding a compliance partner that was early adopter of tech and enjoying the, looking for the opportunity to use digital to disrupt this compliance market and how we can adopt and bringing technology forward. So, Michael, can you talk to us a little bit about your role at NorthStar and what had you come join us in the technology trenches of compliance?
Well, thank you, Marcy. I'm glad to be in the trenches with you. It wouldn't quite call it trench warfare, but it definitely does sometimes feel like you have to defend yourself against all attackers in the compliance field. I'll just talk a bit about my background and how I came to see technology as being the driver of solutions in compliance. So I actually worked at one of the big banks after being a partner at BLG, and I discovered that there was a lot of people who were involved in the process of keeping a company and organization compliant. I was responsible for Investor Line and Nesbitt Burns and private banking, all the legal work for those entities, and I must say that the number of talented people who were involved in that process was considerable. When I went to a small startup called Wealthsimple as their counsel and as their chief compliance officer, I could also see how technology could level the playing field and could really help to get an organization compliant quickly and do it consistently. The big problem in organizations where humans are doing a lot of the process is that then you need a very large layer of people watching the people to make sure they're doing the process. And one of the things about leveraging technology is you get the right onboarding tools, you get the right compliance structures and operations set up. You can actually operationalize that, and literally you can't get to objective D, step D, until you've completed A, B, and C. And it's in the algorithm, it's hardwired, and it helps everybody. Because the reality is we're all in the same business. We all want to have clients who are happy. We want to have clients who understand what they're investing in and have all the materials. And when the regulators come calling, or frankly, even disgruntled or clients who are confused or have an issue, they get their lawyers to come in. It's what you've written down. It's what has been committed to paper. It's what is auditable that will save you or sink you. So having the right technology platform is key. One of the things, though, is even to this day, if someone is going to go out and create their own compliant digital platform that achieves that end goal of having recorded evidence of your compliance with all of the steps, that costs hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. I'm sure Marcy and the rest of the team at DealPoint probably have a very good idea as to how much the colossal amount of money that it costs to create this. Why create this in multiple places? The other thing that, so when I basically took over NorthStar, one of my objectives was to take the learnings that I got from that organization and bring it to all of the other small and medium-sized registered firms in particular who could benefit from that. And finding a technology partner like DealPoint was very important to a couple of other services that we provide, one of which is a compliance office, a compliance management office. And that fractional service depends on having quick and easy access to the documents that helps the client demonstrate to themselves, to their clients, and the regulators, who are all stakeholders in this process, that each step that needed to be done is done. And then the beauty is, if a gap is discovered in the process, It's just a matter of going back to the code. It's just a matter of changing the document, but the process is still there. So to me, this is an essential foundational piece of how to be compliant and get back to the business of having happy customers and building your business.
Well, thank you. I appreciate a lot of that insight. I'm sure there's nothing more frustrating to a COO than having to walk through an audit and evidence process when they really want to be there for the checks and balances. So let's let the technology take care of that, as you would have said. So thank you very much, Michael. Well, with that, I'd like to maybe before I introduce Chris, who's anxiously awaiting in what looks like a wonderful, beautiful office that we'd all enjoy having. Could we please just run a quick video here? So Lynn, we have a quick video from Don Waverley. He wasn't able to join us today, but he is the president and founder of Waverley. And Waverley, for the first half of 2024, was the leading EMD in Canada for transaction volume. So we're really excited for you guys to hear from Chris and the Waverley team on how they achieved that. But maybe we could run a quick video here. I'll defer to Solin, and we just got a quick 50-second intro here from Chris, who was from Don, pardon me, who was unable to join us. So hopefully we get the audio to work. Excellent. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Don McDonald. I'm the founder and president of Waverley Financial. I founded Waverley 12 years ago from my front porch with the intent of helping small individual Canadian investors and smaller issuers navigate very complicated Canadian capital markets. Since then, we've grown to the top dealer in Canada based on transaction volume. We've done over 1,000 trades in the first 6 months of 2024. And in fact, the first 3 days of this week, we did 119 transactions. None of this would be possible without the best technology in the country, and we're huge fans of DealPoint, and we would not be where we are today and achieve the level of success we've had without them. And I haven't left my front porch.
There we go. We won't disclose if he's still sitting on that porch today, but he's unable to join us. But with that, he said we have with us Chris Black, the Chief Compliance Officer with Waverley, who's in the works and working with the technology. Chris, you're an early adopter of DealPoint. You came on our platform in early days and been utilizing it ever since. Talk to us a bit about your experiences and opportunities.
Absolutely. So just as I launch into this, I want you guys to know that the common theme in all my comments today is really going to be operational efficiency. And that's been the most massive benefit of working with the DealPoint team over the years. So just a little bit as I lead in as well about our relationship with NorthStar. We've been working with NorthStar maybe as long or maybe even longer than we have with the DealPoint team. And we use many of the NorthStar services, and we're very excited because we know that this partnership between NorthStar and DealPoint is a completely natural one between these two market leaders. And we've actually been kind of expecting this on the side. So we're really pleased to see this happen, and we're really pleased to be able to come and talk with you guys today. So I personally have been working with DealPoint since around 2016. And before that, the leading edge in subscription and compliance processes really involved manual paper forms and ink, and maybe there was some scanning, or maybe there was some manual signatures, again in ink, and scanning back via email. And it was quite labor intensive and even paper intensive at that time. And then involved some careful graphics to rearrange the pages into a coherent file and then make it available to your compliance team for review. And then maybe you had to upload it into a folder somewhere in the cloud in a perfect world to be able to store it or have access to it. And there were no really common, widely available digital signature tools, or even certainly not video calling like there is today with Zoom. And it would take us maybe 20 minutes for an experienced DR to fully prepare a full set of subscription documents just for execution, whether it was on paper, to meet with a client live, or to be able to scan and send that out for signatures. So thankfully, those days are long, long gone. And I've been working with the DealPoint platform almost daily since I started in 2016. I've been with Waverley a little bit longer, but we really didn't jump in for a little while. So my experience with the DealPoint team has been exceptional. They're incredibly collaborative. They are always receptive to whatever ideas I come up with, and at least to discuss them and consider them. And I found the team to be completely, fully supportive of our entire team. We'll call or email at all hours of the day or night or weekends, and somebody will get back to us promptly. There's lots of coverage and there's lots of support. And so overall, DealPoint has been a fantastic partner. So I've had really good fortune to work with Waverley as Waverley has been growing. I think back in 2015, when I joined Waverley, we had 3 DRs, dealing reps, and they were all based in Ontario. We've grown now to over 50, and we range all the way from Victoria to Halifax and everywhere in between. And the chart that Marcy was referring to, you may have seen on the invitation email that came out. And that shows as Waverley is #1 in volume for Canada as an EMD based on number of trades for the first half of 2024. This is not something that we track. It was completely a surprise, to put it mildly. And while we knew we were busy, and we're always busy, but we like to work, we knew we were regularly processing high volumes of trades, but we never had any research or data to compare ourselves to any other dealers. And even if we had access to it, we were probably too busy to lift our heads and look for it. So we really, really had no idea. And once we learned about that report, our immediate reaction amongst ourselves was, wow, this is a big surprise. The immediate next reaction was, well, how did we do that? And what are we doing differently from everybody else? And instantly we knew there was one answer, and the answer was DealPoint. The operational efficiencies, like I said, that's my theme word today. The operational efficiencies we achieve by using DealPoint truly are astounding. We could never, ever do the volume that we do using the process that I described to you at the onset on paper with scanning and ink and signatures and travel. Both achieving high volume as dealing reps, which I am as well, and as compliance staff, which I look after here. DealPoint is the common thread that ties everything together through some very, very efficient workflow. So I'm going to drill down into several of the features that we really get benefit from. For dealing reps and subscribers, the onboarding and the know your client information capture process is really, really guided, and therefore it makes it consistent and quick. Subscribers, they absolutely love, and I get comments all the time, they love the one-stop process of entering data and signing subscription agreements in one online meeting. Because DealPoint does all the heavy lifting, they pre-fill all the information, and all the subscription documents are right there with all the data in the right place, and the client doesn't have to figure out a form. So we use extensively the support for registered plans, being able to do subscriptions inside registered plans. DealPoint will generate that documentation for us. And if a subscriber wants to initiate funding directly from DealPoint, it's less than 30 seconds to arrange it during that same one-stop subscription process. So the takeaway there is simple and efficient. And I do get frequent compliments about how easy and how efficient it is and how happy they are using this process versus anything that they've used before. So from a dealing reps perspective, we love the console, which is in the back end of the system of the platform. And we can see all the know your client and all the trade information in a consistent format. We can verify identification online through an integrated partner. We can easily enter our suitability notes. We can enter them, we can format them. And then DealPoint does highlights as well. They highlight areas of potential concerns so that the dealing rep can address those in the suitability notes. And once the DR enters their notes, they submit their entire trade to compliance with one single click. So this workflow in itself is just a huge time saver, having everything efficient. From there, things pass on, compliance receives a notification, and we instantly have access to all the subscription documents, all the know your client info, all the suitability notes, and it's all presented in one easy to review layout page that we call the console. And we can review and collaborate on trades there. We can look at trades simultaneously amongst the compliance team. We can look at them in conjunction with the dealing reps and point out suggestions or changes that should be made. And right there, compliance can also review and approve the trades. They can return them back in the workflow to the dealing rep for amendments. We can enter temporary notes. We can enter guidance for the dealing reps. It's really, really all in one. It's all encompassing. So after the trade gets approved, DealPoint then bundles up the subscription documents for us, and we can easily forward those to the issuer. So it's really not just about speed for us. It's all about helping compliance teams to be thorough and efficient at the same time. It's no benefit to be efficient without getting everything completed. So the thoroughness and the checks and the highlights and the workflow, all contributes to that thoroughness and the efficiency. So one other feature that we really like is that after closing, subscribers can check on their holdings through DealPoint's dashboard. And it's a simple to understand summary of all their subscription transactions, and it's self-serve access. So it results in fewer questions to the dealing reps and quicker access to the answers for the subscribers. So one more thing that we've used, and then I'll wrap it up, you guys, and let you get on to the meat and potatoes, the good stuff. But we also use DealPoint to support regulatory reviews. So with all of our files being online in this really easy to use platform, we can provide the regulators with access to our files inside DealPoint, and they can do that remotely. And instead of the old way, which was just providing paper files and having them come to our office or Don's front porch, as you saw in the video. So in a quick summary, we really see that DealPoint delivers best-in-class fintech to the private market, and NorthStar has been providing the best-in-class compliance solutions and consulting. So for us, the partnership between these two means that the efficient choice has never, ever been more clear.
Well, thank you, Chris. That was incredibly a thorough background, and we appreciate all the feedback you guys provide us. I think any good solution you work with, it is one of continuous customer feedback, because we want to make sure that those outcomes are achieved. So thank you very much. Before I maybe go to if there's any questions, feel free to throw it in the chat. Michael, do you want to talk to us a little bit about, we spoke about the technology, but there's also the fractional role that the COO has and able to provide to really scale these EMDs. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that looks like for you?
Sure, absolutely. And the one thing that I'll just to kind of add a layer on what Chris has just said is that there is the ability for compliance to work remotely and for regulators to access the information to the audit trail, and especially for some of the services that we provide, which allows for companies to scale and work from a very small scale, but function at a level of a much larger organization. Our comm service, which many of our people on this call are subscribers to, our comm service will allow our team to actually access your records on DealPoint and actually perform the function of a large compliance department. And the second thing is this onboarding flow and this onboarding process and the efficiency that relates. I can say that digital onboarding was a key piece for the success of companies like Wealthsimple. I can talk about the fact that Wealthsimple, when I joined, had let's just say that in the first 2 years, they got, I can't say the exact number, but they got a certain number of clients. And then in the next year, they 10x'd the number of clients that took them 5 years to get. So the efficiency of onboarding, digital onboarding tools like the ones in DealPoint, the efficiency of being able to provide that information and disseminate it quickly, those 20 minutes per client and per transaction that it takes, you eliminate that and you're allowed to actually deal with the high value function of interacting with your clients and not dealing with compliance, because compliance is able to access the information. So that was the only thing I wanted to add.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, we're going to spend our last half of the hour here with a bit of a deeper product dive, but maybe before I jump in that and hand the screen over, are there any questions? I'm just scrolling through the chat here. I don't see anything direct, but any questions that anybody has they'd like to bring forward on what you've heard today? All right, well, with that, let's get to the product demo. So I'd like to hand it over to Sandy Gilbert. Sandy is the founder and CEO of DealPoint, and we'll walk you through the product solution here. Thank you. Go ahead, Sandy.
Thanks, everyone, for jumping in today. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to kind of take a look at this from kind of the front end, so from the investor view, but then drill into the console, which is really what Chris mentioned, that he spends his day and every day in the console, so he can see the activity that's happening within the organization. And Chris, I do have to thank you. It was a very good overview of how the platform works, but we like to refer to it really just as a workflow. Like, this isn't brain surgery. This is just making everything from inviting an investor into a deal, through getting their KYC, getting them to sign a subscription document, maybe paying for those subscription funds, ultimately getting it through a DR approval, a CCO approval, and through to close, all happens without anyone being able to skip a step along the way. And that's the key part of compliance, is to ensure that we've touched everything that we need to do in order to ensure that the trade has been done successfully. And a small comment again to what Michael and Chris were saying around the audit functionality. You would get 20 file folders of the information that you had about your investor, the KYC and the subscription documents, and your auditor would take a look at those. You might scan them and put them in a folder. But here we can give the auditor access to those 20 files only. So they're not coming in to see your whole platform. They're coming in to see what they asked to look at. And it's a really, really easy way for them to just do their spot checking on what they're looking for compliance. What you're seeing on my screen right now is Skylook offering. Is that correct? Yes. Yes. Great. So this is our demo room. So it's, it's just got a bunch of fake data in it. But this is a branding that would be your logo. So Waverley's logo would be here, or Joe's Garage logo, or Awesome EMD logo would be here. So it is your room. This is a investment that is offered on your shelf. If I click into here, I can see the 3 deals that are available under Awesome EMD right now. So I can go back and see other deals, but typically your DR would invite your investor into this particular deal. It gives you a little bit about the deal, like the type of deal it is. It's pref shares. It's going to expire at the end of the month. You've got a little video if you wanted a talking head from the founder. You also then can put in an overview, say who the team is, and add any documents that are relative to this investment, like an offering memorandum or pitch decks or things that you want to add. The folder section of the document section is customizable, so you can make as many folders as you want and drop in as much information as you feel necessary. Usually at this point, though, you've had a conversation with your investor and saying, Skylook is the one we agreed is a good one for you to make an investment in. So they would land here, come in, hit invest, and away we go. This is just providing a little bit of information about what's expected during this process. We do find, particularly for first-time investors onboarding, that a Zoom call is the way it's done a lot. And Chris is going to nod to me in this case. You would set up a Zoom call, give them their invitation, and come in and work through it together. So first time around, they're not confused about some of these weird terms we have in the exempt market. You can see that I'm already an individual customer of Awesome EMD. Meaning I've got a profile for me, but I could also have a profile under my same username for an investment with my spouse, or as one or more legal entities that I might be investing under, like a holdco or my operating company that I choose to make some investments in. For the purposes of this, I'll just come in as an individual investor. Oh, I guess I better select one first. That would help. So I'm going to come in and say I'm going to come in as Sandy, and away I go. This is telling me that my application has expired. So that means that Awesome EMD has not reviewed my KYC, and it's going to ask me now, force me to go through that KYC so that I can ensure that all of that information is accurate. This is a really nice feature of the platform, so you're never working with an outdated KYC for your investor. So because I have I have to update my KYC. I might have moved provinces, so it's allowing me to change that. But as you know, things are different in BC than they are in Alberta, so we always start with where you are. I'm coming in as a individual, so I don't need to have in here that am I the Canadian bank or am I a company that has 5 million assets? It's just telling me how I qualify as an individual investor. And I believe this is set up for the OM exemption and friends and family, actually. So it's allowing me to come in that route if I choose. Today, I'm going to come in and say that I'm meeting my accredited investor criteria through my income. As Chris said, we are integrated with all of the trustees. So whether that's Olympia or Odyssey or Canadian Workers, there's many registered plan trustees that we work with. So I can do it with my registered plan, or I can simply do it in cash, and I'm going to select cash for this trade. Many issuers have a minimum and a maximum that they would put in for an investment. So this is controlled by you on the back end to say what is the minimum that might be invested. We're now collecting on concentration comments here, the actual capital you have invested in that issuer or related issuers. And for the purposes of this, I'll just say it's my first time. This has a drip option for it set up in the background. So I could do a drip or I could do a cash distribution if I chose, and I would fill in the information so that my issuer would have on file where my cash distributions need to go. And the last thing I want to do here is for this particular investment, what is my objective? And now I can roll on. Now I'm going to run you through this pretty fast because this can take a bit of time, but you can see that because I've already been in here once, all of my information is already in here. I don't have to change anything unless something has changed if I had another child. Now I'm going to go through my financial information. So 3 years of income. How do I have that income? What's my net worth? What's my NFA? And there's little bullets here that will help you understand what those terms mean. Which is easy for that investor then to do that. As I did mention though, many times this is done first time through with your DR on the phone, which makes it really convenient for you. As I go through here, it's now getting my, my investing knowledge. How much do I know about investing? What are my objectives? Have things changed? If they've changed, it's going to say yes, why? So I can add the information in there that say I got an inheritance from my family, or anything like that. Simple questions again, just on where my risk tolerance is. And then questions that were always asked, like, are you a PEEP? Are you an HIO? Do you have, direct ownership or control? So information that you would put there. If you said that you were a PEEP, it's going to actually say how. So really easy to understand even what that means if you didn't know what that meant. Once I've done that, a new feature we've added to the platform is our trusted contact person. And you can see that I didn't have a trusted contact person in here before because my KYC had expired. So I'm going to put this information in here. This is a new feature that we've added to satisfy the regulator's requirements around having a trusted person in case there is a inability to communicate directly with the investor. So now I'm done. The last thing, as Chris mentioned, is we do have the ability to move funds through a pre-authorized debit. And what that really means is that I can put in my banking information here, and 3 to 5 days from now, that money will be pulled out of my bank account. I don't have to pay for a wire transfer. I don't have to go to the bank and get a bank draft, and I certainly don't have to deliver a check to anybody. This money moves outside of Waverley directly through to the issuer that is set up with us to move money into their accounts. And when the issuer gets that transfer of funds, if it's 2 or 3 at a time, it's going to identify whose funds those actually came from. And any of you might know that when money moves into an issuer's bank account, they're going, I don't know, I got something from Joe. Is that the one that's for Jane? So this is all telling them what the investment ID is. It's going to match up with the subscription document that they're going to read. So I've got my banking information in here that will ultimately come on to the information that's going directly to the issuer. But right now I'm just going to say I'm not going to do a pad. So that's as easy as it was. What did I do? I gave my personal information, I gave my financial information, how I qualified as this particular type of investor, whether I wanted to do a DRIP, whether I wanted to do a registered plan, if I wanted to move the money online, all took that amount of time to do. Now I'm simply going to sign my 2 documents that need to be signed, which is my KYC, my first one that comes up. All of the information that was taken in that onboarding is now going to populate on this document. And we're going to see here that the clock is going to start again on my document. I'm in staging right now, which is why that little pop-up comes, because we are not linked directly in. So here's my KYC form. I simply can review it. If I want to review the information that I put in it, I acknowledge it and I sign it. If I was coming in as a permitted client, I would have a permitted waiver that I would be requested to sign. Any other documents that you might want your client to sign at this time, like an RDI or anything like that, would be generated. Now, the next document I'm going to sign will be my subscription document. And if I did do it under a registered plan, the next document I would sign would be my registered plan documents. Or I could have said, I'm not going to sign the documents online because I'm just going to go directly to Olympia's portal. But you have that option to obviously do that. This test document is set up as an OM. So you're going to see that I'm going to go through and sign the places that I need to sign, which makes it very easy to do. Everything's been populated. I know the number of shares that I actually am subscribing for because that was all calculated for me. If you recall, I came in at $200,000. So I don't have to go through here and go, which one of these things am I supposed to sign here? Oh, maybe I came in that way. So as long as I check, I'm only going to be offered the one that I came in to do, and I'm ultimately going to sign that document. My F9 needs to be signed because I came in as an accredited investor. So it's going to ask me here for my F9 signatures. I have to, oops, hang on a second. There we go. I have to put my signatures in all of these spots, but once again, I'm only putting it at the 200 spot. And many times we have investors that are clicking all of them because they're not reading them and they're not doing them, but this means that it's going to be correct. So that's great. Now, because this is under the OM, this issuer asked that I also sign my OM documents when I am doing this transaction. So it's set up to actually sign the exhibits that are associated with the OM. Once again, I don't have to worry about any of the eligible or not eligible or friends or family categories. I simply click on the one that's only available for me to click, and away I go. And I'm done. So once I've signed that subscription document, the little mice in the background start to move. While I go to the back end, I'm happy to open it up for any questions anybody might have on that onboarding process. Anything there? Anybody? Okay.
I don't think we see anything in the chat. Thank you, Sandy.
Great. So I just see here that this last investment that I did, I came in as Sandy Gilbert on the Skylook offering. I am in here as a DR and a CCO, but when I did that trade, I selected Janky as my DR. So because I'm the CCO, I can see all of these trades. If I was only Janky, I would only see Janky's trades. So because I am the CCO, I can see what's going on with every one of my DRs here. We can view these by what's pending DR. Just so you know, the DR has now received an email that says you've got a subscription to review, and they can come in and view that subscription. So they're getting prompted all the way in what's happening here. So now I can take a look at this investment that was just executed. You can see that I came in with my 200,000. This is a quick little overview of the pertinent information that might be relevant to this investor, just as a quick overview. You can see I said I wasn't a peep. It's giving all of my net worth information. This is where you would see a flag, as Chris mentioned. If this were over 10% of the NFA, there'd be a little flag here that would just be something that would draw the attention to that DR. to actually address that is over the recommended percentage concentration of NFA. If I was over the age of 70, it would be a flag here just to bring that up. So I can see anything I want to see here initially. I can download the subscription document to take a look at it and view what it is. But the key part here is that I can start to take notes on this. So our EMD users like Waverley have kind of a set process they do here. They're saying they'll talk about the suitability. They'll talk about when they met with the client. They'll talk about, you know, the personal information about that client, you know, whether they've got dependents at home. So these notes are used very well by our clients. And I can only recommend that they should be, because it makes it so much easier as you are defending yourself, as you are being reviewed for a particular trade. And what Michael was speaking to is this is the process that happens. So you know now the documents have been signed. The next thing is there's going to be an approval by the DR. They're going to do an AML approval that talks about the risk that's the 3-step risk that we have for AML. Then the CCO is going to get an email and say, okay, there's subscriptions for your review, and they'll come in and review that. And once that's been approved, it then goes into the back end closing. So let me see here if I have something here that's pending CCO. So I do. So you can see here that this was signed, the DR approved it. If there were any notes in here, the DR would have had notes. You can see I just put a test in there for notes when we did this the last time. But this can be a fulsome notes. You can see that the ID has been verified already because we have an online verification for ID. If it passes, that's going to come up as approved, and it's going to pass through all the time as an approved ID for their next trade. It can fail. And the reason that it can fail is that maybe there isn't a 3-year history of credit. Maybe they've recently moved. Maybe they live in a rural area that's harder for them to get an online verification of their ID. And in that case, there's a way down here for you to upload documents that your policies and procedures manual would say are required in order to manually verify that ID. And once you've manually verified that ID, it again is going to move forward for the next trades. So I can do a number of things here as a CCO. I can approve it. I can send it back to the DR. And I can say, you know what, I need some more information on this guy. I'm not so sure about this. If it goes back to the DR, they get a notification. They come in, they see the CCO note of what they need, and away we go. But in this case, I can just say that I'm going to verify this. Of course, I can add any notes, upload any documents that I want to do. And once this is now hit CCO approval, it's going to continue to the stage of where it ultimately gets closed. Chris or Michael, any comments you want to make before we kind of talk about how we set up a offering?
No, that was great and very informative. And I love the fact, once again, to the point that I probably belabored too much, is that you can't get to D until you've completed A, B, and C, which means that when anyone, whether it's the CCO or the auditors or some litigator, comes in to see the proof that you did what you should do, it's all there in one spot.
Yeah, and nicely date and time stamped. You know who did everything all along. Thanks, Michael. And Chris, I'm just going to talk a little bit about this data room. You know all about setting up data rooms. So when you have an issuer that has a product, this happens to be called the Skylook offering demo. You know, you put the price per unit in, you know, what jurisdictions it's in. If it were, you know, a limited partnership that they only wanted 20% at close, this is going to come up here and say 20% at close. Percentages, so we're tracking commissions in the back end, so you can say what the commission is for this deal, whether it's an OM, minimum investment, what exemptions it has, if it has a DRIP, if you're doing a pad, if you need to gather the bank information for the issuer, what jurisdictions it's available in, if it's registered plan, who are the trustees. We also have an easy way of onboarding tax forms, so the FACTA and W-8 forms, or the CRS, some people call them, can be automatically populated and signed in the workflow itself. And this is simply where you add the information about the deal and then mark it to go live. You upload any of the offering docs that you want to include in this data room for people to see. You can assign only particular dealing reps. So I can say that Janky is a DR on this, but she's got a different percentage that she gets in commission. So that all can be handled. All of that is very, very easily managed in the back end. And you have user permissions that are allowed to get here. So a DR is only going to see the DR stuff, only the deals that that DR does. A CCO is going to see all of the deals. And then we have admin functionality that allows people to come in, not approve anything, but update data rooms, see what's going on as far as the number of deals that are closed, etc. in the back end. Again, from back to the straight back end of the closing section, this is really where you are doing tranches of closings. You can see here we've got a bunch that are one, but we could actually say the issuer could say, okay, we've got the money in from all of these people. We're ready to do the close. We can put the date of the close in based on when the issuer signed those signed it off for that closing. And once that's complete, you can send a closing email, which is your transaction confirmation that will go directly out to your investor describing the purchase that was done, the amount of commission that was paid, and the pertinent information that's required under the transaction confirmation. In the back end here is also where you can invite your investors in. So I've got a list of investors here. I can actually, view all of the investments that Sandy Test has done here. So I can see, what's outstanding, what's closed, what's happening there. Very, very easy for us to do. And this is also where you can invite an investor in to actually come in to get an invite into an offering. And if I invited this investor to the Skylook offering, I'd already talked about it. We're going to do a $60,000 investment. So that number will automatically populate as they onboard, which they could change if they wish, but it certainly makes it easy for that investor to come in. And honestly, when the investor gets that, I can do a quick look here. So there's my awesome EMD invitation. So it's saying, come here. And once I hit access now, it takes me directly into that data room to review and go ahead and make my investment. Anything I missed? Okay, you got a question?
No, I was gonna, yeah, if we have some questions and while Allison going through this, please come unmute and come on camera and join the conversation if you have any comments or questions.
So Allison, good question. So the beautiful thing about a SaaS product, which we are, so SaaS meaning software as a service, is that we get better all the time. And we get better because our clients are asking for features that would help them as they're managing their business. The regulators may have changes in what's required. And we release them quite regularly. So about every month, there's going to be a new release of something. Maybe we want the console to sort differently. Maybe we want to be able to filter a different way when we're looking at something. Maybe we wanted to add a trusted contact person. Maybe concentration became a big issue, so we added some information there. So Allison's asking in the commission section if we allow for referral agent fees to be tracked. And the answer to that is not today, but it is high on our roadmap. We are consulting with our EMD clients today to see how they would like to track it in the best way. And we believe that that tracking will probably happen in the console view of the DR so that they can add that referral agent, and we'll have a referral agent fee that's in the back end. So then it can be tracked through to that particular investment.
Anyone else want to come off mute or drop something in the chat, comments or questions? So while the technology won't create compliance, it definitely helps with the auditability of it for sure. I think, Michael, we still have you here and talking a bit about maybe some of, we do have some customers here, I think, and the NorthStar services, compliance service as a service.
Sure. Certainly, once again, I think the advantage, and several of our clients have compliance officers who are not physically located. We are all in this hybrid business model as well. So people are working remotely and what have you. And the fact that all that information is as we say in some of the tech companies, a single source of truth can be DealPoint for all of those data points. So you have one space. Your compliance officer doesn't need to be in the same office, doesn't need to receive a bunch of scans, and can basically see all of the documents that they need right there in one place. And that to me is a key piece for why this product is superior to the way that people used to do it in let's say the 1990s or the 00s.
Exactly, or their 2023s.
Or the 2023s.
So Michael, one other comment that I could add is that we have a bunch of different users on the platform, EMDs being kind of the most robust, compliant, strict platform. But we do have what we call a countersigning feature on the platform right now. So for those EMDs that are captive EMDs that are selling their own product and actually need to countersign that subscription document and then deliver that to their client, that can be done directly in this workflow. So you would come in, do the countersigning. It can then be uploaded directly into a dashboard where the investor would get a notification to say that your subscription document is now available for view and download. So that's a really nice feature for captive EMDs. The other way that we're seeing it used a little bit is through an EMD that will allow their issuer to be the countersigner, so they can actually come in and sign that tranche online, which has been really nice for those issuers as well. So, what we're trying to ensure is that you're not downloading something. Now I got to get it signed. I'm going to put it over here. The concept is to keep everything in the workflow, download what you want when you want, but know that it's all available in that one straight workflow. So that's a very positive thing as well.
And I think one of the things that's amazing about this is, I think back when I started in this industry, and perhaps I'm not going to disclose when I started, but when I did start, fax machines were still being used. Let's just put
for
that
sure.
And I remember, closings, and closings were these, there'd be a boardroom that's 3 times the size of this, and there'd be all these documents, and you'd have to line up, and underwriters would be signing things, and big checks were being consolidated and passed. And when I think about the advantage that technology has made, and the advances that technology has made, I think it's amazing to be able to leverage that. And the one other thing that I'll say about SaaS platforms, which I think is a superpower of a SaaS platform, is when you make a change that is the right change to make and roll it out across all of your clients, and all the subscribers, that is so much easier way for everyone to stay compliant when you compare that to the old way, which is you send out a memo and then you hope that the various people adhere to the new rules, and then you go and you test whether it is, and you find you only have 85% compliance, then you send out another follow-up. This just once again ensures that everyone follows the new process. It's hard boiled into the system, and you get that end result, which is happy customers and focusing on building your book of business.
Exactly. Yeah. So, we're coming up on the hour for sure. I would like to really thank Michael and Chris for joining us today. There's nothing better than hearing it from a user, and we really appreciate their input into helping us make a better product. The platform itself has transacted over $750 million of transactions, which is crazy when you think about it. 20,000 investors have built a profile on the platform. So, we are robust and capable of managing the growth of your organization and making it much more efficient for you and helping you with that burdensome world that we live in called compliance. So that's our goal. That's where I came from. I started my career in investment banking, doing private placements, raised capital for a lot of people, active angel investor. I run a venture fund. I know how hard it is to circle up a bunch of people and a bunch of paper to get a deal done. And we just figured there was a better way, and we knew technology could solve it. So here we are. We continue to improve. And with partners like Michael and Chris, it really makes it easy for us. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon.